urban and Māori.
They had left everything that they knew, so they were stuck in these cities.
Today, 85% of us live in urban places.
Something about Wellington draws me in.
I am a city girl.
They had to go to the city because they were shifted there.
In this concrete jungle, in the urban sprawl, what is it that keeps us grounded?
My tupuna have been thriving here for many generations.
I'm Māori wherever I go.
My name is Kahu Kutia, and this is He Kākano Ahau, weaving together strands of connection for Māori and the city. I grew up with a strong sense of where I come from. My parents made an intentional decision to raise us in Te Urewera, where our whakapapa is, so that we could be fed by the people and by the land. For the last 4 years, I've been living in Wellington, and I've come to experience for myself life as a city Māori. I know now that living in the city doesn't have to mean disconnection. Today's story is about the fight of one hapu to remain connected in the city. Last episode we talked about the reoccupation of Bastion Point and how in the 70s that struggle provided a home for generations of Ngāti Whātua to come. And so I'm in shock, but also not really, to see the exact same thing happening in my generation 40 years later. This episode is about what it takes to build an Indigenous resistance movement. We're going to Ihumātao. Here, a group of mana whenua have been fighting to protect their papakainga, a heritage site, from urban development in Auckland City. Supported by their kaumātua, 6 cousins have formed a movement and called thousands of people, young and old, urban and rural, from every hapu and iwi in Aotearoa, to come and help protect this land. Kia ora koutou, it's just after 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. I am at Wellington Airport. This morning I booked a last minute flight to head up to Auckland, so I'm just about to jump on that flight. Yesterday I found out that a large number of police, Māori wardens, the kingitanga, and members of the group Te Kawarewa Maki were on site at Ihumātao to evict a group of peaceful mana whenua and land protectors who have been occupying the site and reclaiming the land since 2016. The call has gone out for people to come up and keep the land warm. Ihumātao was always part of the plan for this kaupapa, and I knew I wanted to tell the story of this people. I just didn't think it would be so urgent, so I'm about to jump on my flight.
Tēnā koutou te iwi. This morning I woke up and looked up my window across the whenua and I saw 100 police officers, Fletcher construction employees and contractors and other employees arrived to the whenua to evict us from our whenua taurikura. We aren't here to get arrested, but we are here to ensure that no machinery destroys the wāhi tapu, the archaeological sites that lay across our whenua. This is a rare cultural heritage landscape that we all need to protect.
This is Panya Newton. She's only 28 years old. Panya has become the face of this resistance movement. You've probably seen her face by now. It's on the news, on my social media. She's eloquent, she leads with peace, and so far she has not backed down. If you do live under a rock and you haven't heard of her hapu's whenua was stolen in 1863. For the last 150 years, it's been farmed by the Wallace family. In 2014, it was deemed a special housing area by Auckland Council, and Fletcher Building purchased it in 2016 to build 480 homes. Panya and her cousins all whakapapa to this land, and were supported by the kaumātua of Makoto Marae, just down the road. They do not want to see their papakainga turned into a suburban development. And so, guided by their kaumatua and the teachings of our ancestors, they have started this kaupapa and brought us all together.
Our values are based on parihaka. We follow the lessons of tohu kākahi and te whiti o rongomai. We follow the legacies of Eva Rickard. We follow the legacies of Whina Cooper. And we stay, and we're peaceful, we're passive, and we're resistant. So on that note, whānau, tūturu o whiti whakamaua kia tēnā!
When the police arrived en masse to the whenua on the morning of the 23rd of July, they came with an eviction notice. They probably thought this would all go fairly smoothly. What they didn't predict was that the call of Panya and her cousins would bring so many people to the land. And so Kaitiaki village at this time has grown into a city of tents, a line of marquees as kitchens, a pōhiri space, media offices, welcoming desks. This is a tiny temporary city, popped up in some paddocks on a spur of land off the southwestern motorway, only 5 minutes from the airport. I've been here a few times over the past few years, and I've never seen it like this before. A few months ago, I was here to interview Panya. On that day, there were about 10 people here on the whenua. Kaitiaki village was a shed, a makeshift wharekai, and a small house. The noisiest inhabitants were the chickens. There was a pot of boil-up cooking over the fire outside, a few tents, and a single caravan. The threat of eviction was real, but not imminent, and it was business as usual for the reclamation of Ihumātao. I'm come to talk to Panya. Is she around?
She is indeed, darling.
Excellent.
So you hang in here and I'll go and grab Panya.
Cool, thank you. I found Panya in the wharekai, a shed that they'd turned into a communal eating space with storage, tables and a big sink. As it turned out, Panya had a bad flu. The mahi does not stop though, and she was hard at work doing a bunch of things on her laptop. Just a week earlier, there'd been a few police officers here, but the whānau had been able to hold tight to their position on the whenua. So the vibe was chill. The sign at the entrance, under the waharoa, showed a timetable for the week. It included yoga and gardening, karaoke, line dancing, and a bunch of other things.
The knitting class is about to start.
Okay. Mean. I thought I might start off by just giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself and kind of your connection to this whenua.
Oh, kia ora tātai. Ko puketāpapa te maunga, ko orua rangitaua, ko te mānukanuka o Hoturoa te moana, ko hape te rangatira, ko kaiwhare te tipua, ko tāmaki makaurau te marae, ko Ngāti Mahuta, Ngāti Naho, Waikato Whānui, te raroa ngāpuhi ngā iwi, ara ko Panya Newton tōku ingoa. My connection or my whakapapa to this whenua extends as far back as 28 generations through the arrival of our tupuna hape. Puketāpapa, which is the area that we are sitting on at the moment, this is our papakainga. This whenua means a lot to our people. It means a lot to my identity. It makes up who I am and who I will ultimately become in the future. And it's really shaped the person that I am today. I could go on and on for days about why Ihumātao is really important.
Technically, Panya and her whānau do live in the city, but that doesn't mean that they identify as urban Māori.
No, I do not consider myself an urban Māori because I'm living here on my, tupuna whenua. And my tupuna have been living and thriving here in Ihumātao for many, many, many generations. And I'm tangata whenua, if anything, rather than being this urban Māori, which I've heard people describe me as in the past, but always struggled with that because I never really understood it because our people have always been here. We never came to urbanisation. Urbanisation came to us. We first started the campaign back in 2015 after discovering that there were survey pegs on our ancestral land here, and upon further investigation we found that there was this housing development being proposed.
Pania had just finished her law degree and she was about to go and work at a law firm for the first time.
So on our whānau Facebook page, one of the kazis put up a post asking if anyone else had heard about what was happening. There were 6 of us that, were in outrage of what was happening, all from the same generation.
Soon after, they learned what was about to happen to their whenua. 480 homes to be built on that wide stretch of farmland, right next to their hapu's historic Aotearoa stone fields. These fields were the first gardens planted in Aotearoa when Māori arrived here. Scattered along the hills, there's also several significant burial grounds. One of these burial grounds has already been dug up to build the second runway at the airport down the road. Alarmed that their whenua tipuna is about to be turned into another suburban neighbourhood, Pania and her cousins form SOL, Save Our Unique Landscape, with the blessing of Kaumatua from Makoto Marae.
We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into or what was really required, but I guess we had skills. We were all pretty privileged to have gone through university and to have some resources, available to us in terms of how to use laptops and computers and maximise technology and know the power of our voice. So at the time that we created our campaign, we promised that we would exhaust every legal means available to us before having to take direct action. So I always looked up to different Māori political movements and the philosophies that they used, such as the parihaka movement that was established by Te Whiti Orongomai and Tohu Kākahi at Parihaka, and I knew those were the philosophies that I wanted to employ in order to defend our whenua. Other philosophies employed were those that came from Bastion Point. And, the kaupapa that was led by Papa Joe Hawke, and him travelling to the UN is what inspired us.
This hasn't been an easy road. Pania and her cousins have faced a lot of criticism from mainstream New Zealand. Even amongst Māori, there are some who have been apathetic to the struggle here. Pania herself has had to deal with rumours that she's not even from there. They've been told there are ungrateful Māoris, that they are causing trouble, that they are just young people who do not know what they're talking about. Pania told me that she is willing to die for her land, and this is a sentiment that I resonate with most of all. Honestly, if my whenua were under siege the way hers is, I'd be doing the exact same thing. The land purchased by Fletchers is about 32 hectares. Of the 480 homes that will be built, 40 will be designated as affordable housing for local hapu members. This was the deal agreed by Te Kawerau Maki and Fletcher's Building. But for Pania and her whānau, this land, in the end, is stolen land, taken from mana whenua through a process of colonisation that displaced many of her tipuna and disconnected an entire people from the whenua, from their way of life. In their views, the entire piece of land should be returned to the people and protected as the heritage site that it is. For Pania, the value in the land is that it can sustainably support a Māori way of life. But still, there are some of her elders who don't agree, and having those conversations has been really hard for Pania and her cousins.
Our chair always said that at one point we may come to heads in the future, and we acknowledge that. And in many ways it reared its ugly head, but hasn't been enough in order to make us want to ditch the campaign. And in saying that, there's been some lows, not many though, but I would have to say the most difficult one would have to be overcoming our tikanga. And I say that in reference to these notions around tuakana and taina, and this other concept around tāria te wā. There's always a time and a place. Going back to this concept around taina and tuakana, having to respect our elders, Those have been things that have been difficult for me. So, yeah, it's publicly out there that I've been criticised by my own uncle as not being mana whenua or tangata whenua here in Ihumātao. Yeah, and that's been demoralising. It's been demonising. That these colonial behaviours, I don't know what to call them, of patriarchy and things like that have somewhat clouded some of our people.
I suppose it's a real tricky one, because as Māori we're taught that our elders need the utmost respect and to never question them, but if the elders aren't getting the mahi done, what are you going to do? Obviously, Pānia isn't the first person to ever question a kaumātua. Matua Joe Hawke at Bastion Point was also criticised by some elders of his iwi.
E ngā iwi o te motu, tēnā anō koutou katoa, and welcome again to Te Puna Wai Kōrero.
Here he is 40 years ago, speaking to Whainata about his own battle.
What is the feeling now between your group and the elders of Ngāti Whātua?
Well, we've got to always remember that we have elders too. And it's quite certain that our elders have instructed myself and our committee to remain on our policy of non-violence, of peaceful protest in regard to the many grievances of our people. As far as some section of our people are concerned, perhaps many of them are more willing to capitulate.
And so we've seen that over the years here in Ihumātao and across our motu. And when I'm stuck in moments like that, I think of my tupuna Māui tiki tiki a taranga, Māui pōtiki. He constantly challenged his brothers and he challenged tikanga, and, through his Mauna Kea ways, his perseverance and his entrepreneurial ways, he was able to fish up tika Māui and slow the sun down. I guess for me, drawing back on our whakapapa helps to bring me strength and resilience. And when I'm criticised for being a woman and being naive and inexperienced, I remember my tupuna such as Hine Ahuone, who was the first female and first human being, and Papa Tuanuku, who demonstrates the first form of Māori leadership.
So now we're up to speed. The eviction notice has been served, and I've come to Ihumātao to keep this whenua warm. I've always looked on events like Bastion Point with such admiration. It's one of many struggles that my Pakeke fought for future generations. And so I've come back in solidarity with Pānia and her whānau. I am one of thousands.
Kia ora, my name is Jessica. Ko Taranaki te maunga, ko whanganui te awa, ko Aotearoa tanganui te waka, ko Ngapui, ko Ngātiru nui ngā iwi. I don't have any ties to this particular Ihumātao piece of land, but as Pākehā and Māori, my wairua is intertwined with all of our land, and having the history that we have, you cannot be like, because you're not from here, or you're not particularly affiliated with this specific acre, this specific area, you can't just be like, well, it's not worth it, so I'm here to fight for all of our people and to be present.
I protectors, not
Protectors of the land.
Kia ora, my name is Trinity, a descendant of Kahununu. I believe that we all have a degree of struggling for sovereignty over different aspects of our lives, and this just happens to be a massive scale of struggling for sovereignty and struggling to have tino rangatiratanga over the outcomes that we want for our own lives. So this struggle is my struggle, and it is an honour and a privilege to stand alongside mana whenua, alongside the people of Ihumātao and also fellow supporters of the kaupapa, to uplift a struggle that we all share individually, but also as this kaupapa shows as a collective as well. Kia ora.
How have you found the last couple of days here?
I felt very unsettled prior to being on the land because I wanted to know what was going on for myself. And then as soon as I came here, settled in that I could see with my own eyes, hear with my own ears, feel with my own heart and wairua what was going on.
I had no real plan when I came here.
Taya Burney, one of the many who has spent her night on the front line.
But I was sharing with my cohorts that the urban generation is purposeful, it's by design, not only by our parents and our tipuna, but by the universe itself. It's forced a generation of people that bridge the gap between Te Ao Pākehā and Te Ao Māori, that speak fluently both languages and both worlds, so that the communication space between them has clear pathways. Otherwise, it wouldn't change. You know, we are all here, this group of people coming through from those generations of urban Māori who were disenfranchised and forced to find our identity in places that didn't really exist.
Turning up at Ihumātao was like walking into a room at a party and everyone is your crowd. Most of our well-known Māori influencers were there, along with our great pakeke like Moana Jackson and Annette Sykes. Walking around, I think we all felt this tone of unease with the lines of police facing us, reminding us that we are not welcome here. But the day-to-day at Ihumātao meant looking past that and doing what we do best, manaakitanga and whakawhanaunatanga. Our kaumātua and kuia guiding us, aunties and uncles in the kitchens, tamariki handing out sandwiches on the front lines, babies everywhere. And not everyone here was Māori either.
I'm Lucia, I am 19, and I'm here because I think if you have the choice to protect something that needs to be protected, I don't think that there's any question about whether or not you should be here. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's such an important cause, and I just think there's no excuse for me not to have come.
Kia ora, my name's Paddy. I'm 24 years old. I've come out to Ihumātao this evening because it's my belief that if you want to do anything about racism and decolonisation in this country, it's a very simple choice to whether to support this cause or not. Earlier, someone had been asking me what they thought about the general vibe and the general atmosphere down here. And the sun's just going down now, and it has a really pleasant family kind of festival gathering type of atmosphere with all the kids playing and fires going and the smells and the sounds. It's all beautiful. And then as soon as you look to the perimeter, you can see a line of high-vis officers with their arms folded. And yeah, it makes you run cold a bit just looking out there.
Manaakitanga in the face of colonial mamai has to be the greatest form of resistance. It's volunteers offering hot drinks to police, chairs and blankets pulled out for kaumātua. And on one afternoon, Manaakitanga was the planting of native trees along the line occupied by police. The sun is just above the western horizon when Pānia calls for all the tamariki to step forward.
Do not have any fear, whānau. No fear when you are exercising your rights as a kaitiaki. This is what kaitiakitanga looks like.
The calls of taonga puoro ring out across the whenua. The aunties give karanga and uncles give tau parapara. The tamariki, and this huge line across the whenua, take to the front, face to face with police officers, their trees in hand. I think everyone here has goosebumps. I'm about to cry, and I can feel the ihi, wehi and wana woven between all of us. This is the story I will tell my kids when they ask me what it was like at Ihumātao. And right at the front, there's Panya.
So over the years, we've become conditioned to having this great sense of hopelessness, or this sense of having to accept and adapt and move on from any injustice that we've had to face in the past. And so through this movement here in this kaupapa, seeing our whānau return back to their whenua and feel empowered to reclaim our tino rangatiratanga and our whenua has been a highlight for me. Watching our tamariki and our mokopuna walk across this land, which is something I never got to experience when I was younger because it's always been in private ownership, that also has been a highlight for me.
This struggle is certainly not the first and will not be the last for our people. The vision Panya has is powerful, not because it is new, not because it's on this huge scale, but because it tries to do something so plain, so simple, allow the whenua to remain unchanged.
Being Māori, we are all born kaitiaki of the taiao, the whenua, the environment, or kaitiaki of our whānau, of our families, and kaitiaki of our culture and our language. So being born within our Māori philosophies or worldviews or environments, that was installed in us from really, really young. I guess it's part of our DNA as well, being children of Ranginui and Papa Tuanuku and our pūrākau, they're all threaded throughout. So, I guess being Māori, you naturally possess that responsibility or that quality of a kaitiaki.
We will continue to resist colonialism, the confiscation of whenua, the pillaging of tino rangatiratanga and mana motuhake, the desecration of wāhi tapu, and the denigration of our environment, our taiao, Papa Tuanuku. We will one-on-one face these wonderful police officers. We will have a seat to maintain our energy. This is our whenua, this is our kaupapa, and it's our tino rangatiratanga that we need to maintain. Engari kei runga I tērā, kia tūturu, kia whakamaua, kia tina! Tina! Huie! Taikie!
E mihi kauana kia Panya Newton, me te whānau o Ihumātao. Thank you so much to Panya and all the awesome mana whenua protectors that we talked to at Ihumātao. There's one episode left in this series, and after everywhere we've been, where else could we possibly go? Well, the music you hear now is an original waiata composed by wahine toa Geneva Alexander Masters. Geneva grew up in a te reo-speaking home in Grey Lynn, but for most of her life, her whakapapa has been a bit of a mystery, along with the circumstances that took her father away from the papa kainga where their whakapapa lies.
So it's about letting that go, because I'm sick of being angry.
The final episode of He Kākano Ahau is a journey of reconnection. He Kākano Ahau is written, researched and hosted by me, Kahu Kutia. Produced by Francis Morden. Melody Thomas is the editor and production and script consultant. The theme music Rito is composed and performed by Geneva Alexander Masters. Additional music by Marati K, Electric Wire Hustle and Asia. Artwork by Huriana Kōpeke Te Aho. Mark Chesterman is the series engineer and Ursula Grace is the executive producer. Archival sound recording in this series is from the R&Z collection at Ngā Taonga Sound and Vision. and it's all made possible by the RNZ NZ On Air Innovation Fund. Whakatau mai anō.